Hey, man.
Hey, Charlie. Aloha.
What's up, my brother?
Aloha.
Aloha, everyone.
How are you, buddy? How are you?
Welcome, welcome. We're on a little early tonight.
As always, sorry, my realized my iPad is dead, so I had to grab my charger. But how you, bro? How is your Saturday going, man?
Today went pretty fine. I went to Hanapepe, um, met with one of my workers today. Good, good, personable individual. You know, when you get one worker and that, sometimes people just don't get along with them. And yet this worker is super quiet. He's one that he just like work, like talk story. And people get upset that he don't talk story or he's not personable. He's a big guy. I mean, he's intimidating. He smiles, but the guy's just a quiet guy. And I wish I could get 100 of those kind of guy workers. They just like work. Like mili talk story, anything like that. They just want to get rocking and rolling. So I had a really nice time with them today. Really nice time.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I kind of hang out today, just um, lounge around, watch college football. Love football. It's so nice to watch live football. You know, and as I was at home, I was getting a lot of questions about the charter amendments. Ballots are coming in the mail now. People actually have voted and sending it back.
Mm.
So yeah, I figured why not do a segment. I wanted to do this. I didn't realize that the time was there already, that the ballots were floating out. We had hoped to get this done next week, but because of the numbers of questions that I've been getting over the last week, and all of the posts that I saw, people were actually voting, and I think a lot of people may not fully understand. Every general election we have charter amendments, and what I hear from a lot of people, all my years working at the council, was a lot of people just left those things blank. And we'll get into this at 7. I wanna actually start it at 7 because that's what we told people. I know a lot of people. We'll probably lose a lot of viewers tonight from the outer islands and from the mainland because they may not be interested in the charter amendments for Kauai. So understandable, but we wanted to kind of digress a little bit, take a break from COVID tonight, a little bit because we're still going to talk about it before 7. And but wanted to really dig into, and I'm using the language. I'm using the language tonight. I did a PowerPoint. We'll go through a PowerPoint, but the language that will be on the ballot, and to give you kind of a background and a little bit of information on each one of them. So, most of them are housekeeping type of measures. Not most of them, about 3 of them, I believe, and then the rest there are something that we all got to decide, and the people will decide on this one, and we'll talk about that at 7 o'clock. So I called Charlie this morning. I said, "Hey, bro, how about if we go do the charter thing tonight instead of next week?" And of course, my partner said, "Shoot!" So I put together a real quick PowerPoint, and we'll get to that tonight at 7 o'clock. So anyway, with that, Charles, any updates on the COVID front, man? There's still some confusion as far as why did Big Island get approved and Kauai got rejected? I think and let me just talk about the Kauai one. I'll let, because Charlie has a very good question about the Big Island one, and that we can discuss. But basically, Kauai was going to require all visitors, all and returning residents from the mainland to go to quarantine until they got a second test in 3 days or 4 days or whatever it was. So that is not in the Big Island. So that is what I think. The governor does not want any visitor or returning resident in quarantine with a negative test, negative pre-travel test. That's the bottom line. So Kauai's original plan, which was rejected, was every person coming off that plane would go straight to quarantine and they would get a test in 4 days. If that test was negative, obviously they could go free, or maybe it was 3 days.
Yep.
That got rejected. So the new one, he has a new. Basically, it's benchmarks, and if we hit certain benchmarks in active cases average per day, then we would go into the 14-day quarantine. So Big Island, Charlie. I don't know, man. You raised a really good question.
Well, the Big Island today, I am just wondering is if is the testing mandatory or not? That's one. Then if you get tested, my understanding is, which is the rapid antigen test the first go around. And if that test come back negative, you're good to go. But is that in conjunction with the test that the pre-test that you had? So basically, if you had a pre-test, and the way the Big Island is set up, it's like sounds like three tests. If you go negative on a pre-test, a positive on the antigen, then you have to take a PCR test and quarantine the, at a location that you specify until the results come back. And if it comes back negative, then you don't quarantine. But I think my whole speculation has been is that are we actually doing a money making proposition or are we going for safety? I mean, everything safety is keeping the person isolated. That's all it is until we know for sure. And there's a question about the pre-testing that I asked you about, right? Because it's still up in the air, 72 hours prior to. But I think what made this whole thing kind of up, kind of, I want to say absurd in a way, is that once the lieutenant governor started to approve the many different entities that can administer the test, will they all have the ability to funnel in? So say for instance, you across all parts of the US, right? You get this direct flights from Chicago. You get direct flights from say Seattle. You get direct flights from LAX. You get direct flights from Oakland. Uh, you have a direct flight,
San
So basically,
Francisco, San
San
Francisco,
Francisco.
Portland, Vegas, New
So
York.
so what
It's a
happened is
ton.
all that information has to funnel in on the app that prepares the receiving host, which is Hawaii, that this person is coming in and he took a test, right? Now,
Mhm.
is that system up and running already? We don't know. We don't know for sure. And it's just one thing after another. So aside from putting on layers of protection, you put layers of confusion. And I think the simple solution was, some people gonna say we bias, would have been Derek's, but his one was straightforward. If we know based on what the studies have shown that you take a 72-hour, you fly, you wait a couple of days to see if and you consider it an incubation period, whether something's going to happen or not. And if by the third, fourth day something doesn't happen, you come out negative, you pretty much in the clear, right? I'm not saying for absolute, but the science shows that you're pretty much in the clear. But taking
Yeah,
it
you
upon your
can knock
upon
around.
arrival, yeah. But and you're right. It's the ability of if somebody tests positive, trapping them right there, confining them, because what are you trying to prevent? It from spreading out. That's what you're trying to prevent. And that's all it is.
And that's the only thing, we gotta hope that the state, the Department of Health has all the contact tracers in line and everything is working and that we can track these people once they leave the airport. That's the scary part, because we've seen so many breaches already. And even on Kauai, where we have a very good system in place, even that's not 100% as far as keeping these guys contained because they move around. They cheat. So, but we do the best we can. But the testing, I know there's a huge. Still, the doctors are still saying that the 6 day is required. The test on the 6 day, if you want to really crack them down. And every remember when we first had the charts from the core discussion group and from all the other doctors that came on with their graphs. Every additional day that you wait and do a subsequent test, you're gonna lower the risk significantly. So yeah, if you take one test at the airport, you lower the risk a little bit. If you do it in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days after arrival in Hawaii, obviously your risk gets reduced even further. 6 days, you pretty much got a good shot at knocking them all, catching them all. But it just doesn't seem like this governor is going to ever approve a 6 day quarantine. He's not going to approve any plan that puts a passenger, a visitor in quarantine waiting for a test result. He's not going to do it unless on the Big Island, if you test positive, then obviously that protocol goes into place. But let's just say you took a test, a visitor is coming on us, they're leaving on a Friday or a Thursday, whatever day it is, and they take a test 72 hours, 3 days before departure. They get here and they get a test at the airport. It's still only 3 days. The flight is only 5 or 6 hours. So it's still only 3 days. So it's the second test you may see, because the likelihood of catching the virus in the plane from a positive person, you're not going to test positive. It's just too quick. But if you got exposed anytime after you took that test before you left the mainland, that 3 days, chances are of catching that on a test at the airport, a rapid test, is slim. It's not going to happen. It takes 4, 5, or 6 days before the virus builds up to a point where it can be even caught on a test. So yes, it's unfortunately, and again, I'm a realist. I don't necessarily, I'm not necessarily happy about this, but I'm a realist, and I know that come October 15th, it's going to happen. And I'm hoping that Derek gets his plan approved. Many doctors are still apprehensive about that, and again, the more and more I think about it, I think if we can lock this, and when I say lockdown, meaning lock down the visitors from being roaming free on the island, with just 5 cases, I think we'll be all right. But again, there many doctors are disagreeing with that. So
Well,
we'll see. I know a lot of people asking, why can't all the islands be the same? Simple, because a governor does not want to inconvenience the visitor. The governor does not want to inconvenience tourism. So if it was statewide, he did it statewide. And the statewide was e como mai, e como mai. And we have two brave mayors, Mayor Kim and Mayor Kawakami, who said that's not enough. Uh, you know, with all due respect, Governor, that's simply not enough for our islands, our medical capacity.
yep.
So that is why it's not statewide.
I just want to let somebody know right now, I'm going to take myself off of this thing because I know it's throwing some people off. You see how I disappear and I don't disappear? It's because my Aloha shirt has green. And when you have a green background, it will do that. So I'm gonna,
Ah,
yeah, I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna go down. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll hit this. And then I'll do that. And I'll do this. And I'll do that. There we go. Okay.
yeah, it's kind of eerie when you disappear because you like completely disappear. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. The
It's because
magic. That's how Hollywood. That's how they do movies in Hollywood.
they put you on a green background. So why I didn't do it last night is because I was wearing a blue shirt. So it only does that with green, so you folks can know. But you said something that was very interesting just a little while ago. I think first each county has a certain dynamic, and it's up to the mayor. Kauai, the mayor is very engaged with the community. There's no doubt about it. Very, very engaged, and he's a people person. And sometimes it's to a fault because he's so accessible. Then you have Harry Kim. That's he's old school. Kimchi, the kimchi man we call him. He's old school, so he thinks a certain way. Victorino, um, nice guy, but I always think of, uh, you know, I cannot say too much because I don't know him personally. So I can only think that he operates the way he does. So as long as you have those kind of personalities of that, you bound to get things different. I think, and I believe wholeheartedly that they all want some type of solution. And I think they've been hammered really hard by this administration. So they kind of get little shell shocked, but they continue just to move forward. They follow more, they move forward. They don't miss a beat. They don't try to skip a beat. And at the end of the day, it's all about whether the governor is going to say yes or no.
Well,
That's all
if
it
he
is,
was gonna say yes, he would have said yes already. I mean,
right?
that's just kind of how, I think I've figured this guy
I
out a
think
little
what,
bit.
what he's doing, he's playing it to the 11th hour. So then after that 11th hour, you don't really have time to do something already. It's just forgone. And it looks that way. He's stretching it out there. He'll probably give an answer to Derek Call me, I'm sorry. He'll probably give him an answer at 12:01. 11:59 on October 14.
Yeah, you're probably right, bro. It's not a bad thing for each island, like you said, Charlie, to have its own dynamic. I think, if we're talking about issues, economic issues or housing issues or any type of issues that is specific to your individual county, I think, I want to be different than Maui. Maui, let's just say, Maui's for timeshare and vacation rentals. They look at it a little differently. They tax the crap out of them, but they enjoy the revenue from them, and their values on that aspect of the visitor industry is different from Kauai. So if we were talking about issues involving the economy or county issues, then great. Every mayor should have their own plan and their own authority. But when we're dealing with a pandemic, and I think this is the part I'm confused, is when you have overwhelming medical advice that, see, COVID doesn't, it's not different. It's not like PVRs. It's not welcome in one county and not welcome in another. See, COVID kills people on every island, of every race, of every age. It's just the way viruses are, right? So in this case, I think what the governor should have done was work collectively. In fact, if I was the governor, rather than meet with the mayors once a week or whenever, every time something came up, the 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 new committee, the COVID committee on the administrative side, would have included all the mayors. It would have been the governor and the four mayors. That would be the committee. That would be the committee that decides what happens for the state. Rather than this my way or the highway crap. No, we would, and utilizing the medical advice that's available to all the different mayors and the governor, and come out with a plan that that is in the best interest of the people of Hawaii, health and safety wise, not the economy, but and I, again, like Charlie, we've been saying this for weeks now, is that we can't coexist. There is a way to do this safely. And for some reason, the governor is rolling the dice. He's rolling the dice, and he's taking a risk and hoping that that the virus doesn't come in. And I think that's a mistake. But again,
Mm.
who am I? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a governor. I'm not a mayor. So it is what it is.
Well, someone had said, and I can see the problem is if each county had their own rules and a visitor wants to island hop, or sometimes they have those tours, those 1 day tours, right? Everybody gonna be subjected to the 1 day tour, especially Japanese, the Asian market. They'll the host island normally is Oahu, and when they take a tour, usually it's to like Maui or the Big Island to go see the volcanoes and then return. You know, being subjected the whole tour to this testing process will probably take pretty much a couple hours, if any, and then they still got to drive up to the volcanoes and then come back down to catch their flight. So that might be a little burdensome. So, it's going to be interesting how this all plays out.
Well, we know the inter-island quarantine is still in place until at least the end of the month, unless that changes. So anybody coming off that plane, unless in the governor's new rule that starts October 15th, he nullifies that part of it, I don't know. But and I feel like he probably will because again, he doesn't want to upset the visitor. But right now, as it stands, October 15th, somebody goes to Honolulu from LA, comes to Kauai. When they get to Kauai, guess what? Bam, 14-day quarantine. I don't care. They took a test. That's how it's written now. And again, I don't know because no one has ever seen the specifics yet. I just saw someone from the Big Island Post. They live on a Big Island and they still don't know the specifics of the Big Island plan yet. So everything's up in the air. So anyway,
Yep. Yep.
right. Well, I know you guys are wondering what the heck you guys talking about COVID. You said you was going to talk about the charter, so we will. We just was waiting for 7 o'clock, so we got everybody on that wanted to be on. I know a lot of you guys have already received your ballots. I just got mine in the mail today, so I plan to vote tomorrow, and I will be delivering my ballots to the county building because I do not trust the mail system. I want to make sure my votes get counted. If you're gonna mail it in, make sure you mail it in early. Do not wait. Okay, do not wait. The way the system is late ballots are don't get counted. So if you haven't decided who you're gonna vote for yet, pick it up and try to figure it out and get that ballots filled out and mailed if you're gonna mail it. If you in Lihui or by any post office, drop them off. Drop them off at the mail drop. Doesn't take that much time, and at least you know that you've got your ballot will be counted. Okay, so that's just
Well,
general for all voting.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the mail ballot because the other day I went to Lihui Jamba Juice and I saw this curtain and I was standing there for a while thinking that that's why I vote. But my ears got sore from the blender at Jamba Juice, so I forgot about mailing
All right, okay, all right. I know, okay, and you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you guys cut off and leave because you don't want to hear about the charter amendments. But I wanted to share a little bit before we put up the PowerPoint. I want to share a little bit about our charter. Our charter simply is our constitution. Like the U.S. has a constitution and the state of Hawaii has a constitution. The charter is our constitution. It's Kauai's constitution. And really, what the charter does, it defines the structure of our county. The structure. It doesn't define day-to-day operations. It defines our structure. It defines the executive branch, the legislative branch. It spells out the prosecutor's office, which is the judicial branch. It has all these different components. It talks about the authority of borrowing money and all of these things that uh, build the structure for how this county is run. That is the charter. And that is why the charter was never written, it was never intended that the charter would be changed easily, because again, it's like the Constitution. So it's basically the foundation of the county of Kauai. And unless some major events occur that require the charter to be changed, it requires a vote of the people, not of the representatives. In other words, the council writes laws, they do ordinances, and the mayor signs it, it becomes a law. That is typically day-to-day property tax rates, all of that stuff. That any law in the county's books can be changed relatively quickly, right? You do a bill, you do a public hearing, you get the discussion, you vote, and the law is created or the law is changed. It can be done very quickly. And it's done by the votes of 7 members on the council. The charter, on the other hand, requires a majority vote of the all registered voters. That's how it was intended. That charter wasn't meant to be changed every month, every 90 days, every year. It was really meant to be there as the foundation. And when things need to be changed in a charter, it goes on the ballot every 2 years, on the general election ballot for the people to pick. The people will make this decision, not the council and not the mayor. I need you to understand that because it is critical. There's some things on there today that can change the future of this island, of how we do things. And again, some of them are housekeeping. So understand the differences, right? The charter is structure, is foundation, and bills and administrative rules and all of that is day-to-day operations, the laws and that can be changed. You could do it in 6 weeks. You can change a law in 6 weeks, or you can create a law in 6 weeks on a quick site. Um, of course, you provide notice. You gotta provide the community input in the public hearings or the committee meetings. But at the end of the day, the laws or the administrative rules are not voted on by the people in an election. It's voted by your representatives. So as opposed to the charter where your vote does matter. Your vote does matter. Only you, only us can change the charter. No one else. And it can only be done at a general election every 2 years. Okay, the second part about the charter, when we vote, and this I want you guys to really pay attention, is because this is so important. This is so important. When you get the charter amendments on the ballot, you can vote yes or you can vote no. If you vote yes, it's counted as a yes. If you vote no, it's counted as a no. If you leave it blank, it doesn't get counted. Now, for me, I know it doesn't count as a no, but it doesn't count as a yes. I know that's confusing, but let's just say this. If you had 100 people in a room, and let's say 20 people voted yes, and the other 80 people said, I don't like that, I'm gonna leave them blank. Even though they didn't support it, because they didn't vote no, it doesn't get counted. So the minority of 20 will have passed that change. That's what happens. And the way these things are worded, remember, the county, the Charter Review Commission puts the wording on the ballot, and they word it in a way that they want it to pass. They want this to pass. The county Charter Review Commission wants all of these things to pass. So it's structured that way. So it's important you understand what they're trying to do. And it's very important that you share this, because I know a lot of people share this right now if you can. I'm going to put it up on YouTube and I'll put it back up on Facebook. But you need to vote yes or no. And while I'm not going to tell you what, yes, sir.
Question. What you
Yeah.
just said. Now, folks, I hope you understand. Mel is the one that's been in council. I have been pretty much in nowhere. So when I raise my hand, I'm going to be the lay person. Okay. So throughout the night, this is going to be like a classroom. Teacher, you just said yes, no, and no vote at all, because the Charter Commission wants you to vote a certain way. That's what you just said.
Well, what
Why
I
don't
said was that the language is written in a way for you to vote yes. They want you to vote yes.
then why don't they just make it so damn plain English that it's not so it doesn't sound so convoluted in the first place? That's why people
Oh.
they scratch their head and they said, you know what? This damn thing is so confusing. I'm not going to even touch it with a 10-foot pole.
One year on the council, we try to change it so that a blank vote would be counted as a no vote. In other words, the only way a measure like this could pass is if the affirmative votes beat out the negative votes. In other words, you had to, if you left it blank, it was counted as a no. So in the scenario I gave you about the 100 people in the room and the 20 people voted yes and the 80 people left it blank, that would not have passed. You need to have the majority of yeses. In other words, your majority vote got to be yes, cannot be blank. And that's what's so frustrating with this charter amendment process, is because things pass even though the majority of the people did not want it, simply because they left the ballot blank. So do not leave the ballot blank. That's my message. And we'll go over that again
So,
later because it's that
so,
important.
so basically, it's different from when someone abstains, right? Because usually abstain, the vote goes a certain way, right? If you abstain.
Yeah, so if you abstain, if you're in a commission or a committee and you abstain, your
You go with the
whole
majority.
your body leaves, so it's not counted in the formula.
Yeah.
In this one here, they're just gonna count up all the yeses, so and all the nos, and the blanks will just not be counted, and that's where I think a lot of people um, it's scary. It's scary. I know the county did do an ad on Facebook. I saw it, and it talks about, it basically is trying to sell this, that we're going to be able to hire more people for jobs or something like that. But we'll go through each one, and we'll let you make the decision. We'll make you let you make the decision. So anyway, any questions, Charlie, before I pop up that PowerPoint? Yes, sir.
A question came up from a viewer. Isn't an amendment proof only when 50 plus one of the registered voters vote yes?
No, that is in an election. That is in an election. So basically, in the charter amendment, majority will win. So if only 10 people voted, let's say 8 people voted yes, 2 people voted no, and 20,000 people left it blank, the yeses will win. The 50% plus one is to win an election outright for a political candidate in a nonpartisan race. So, yep. So yeah, no, there's no 50% required. It's majority rules. Majority rules. So if 10,000 people vote, 8,000 vote yes, 2,000 vote no, 8,000 votes going to win. That ballot, that charter will pass. That amendment will pass. Okay, and that
So
then will become the new.
if 10,000 ballots, if 10,000 people vote, 9,999 no vote, and one person said no, then the no's win. That's what you're saying, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it's just a higher vote wins. Yeah, higher vote wins.
Got it.
Yep. So now I hope and I pray that this screen will share.
And someone asked me, and yes, here's the candy.
Can you see the screen, Charlie?
Okay, mine says 2020 proposed cha.
Charter.
Nah, because our views they blocking the word. That's why I get cha.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just start off by we're gonna go through each one, and we're just gonna go through each one with the language that you will see on the ballot, and then I will put up the information that the Charter Review Commission provided to the public. So the first one is relating to negligence claims. Shall Section 23.06 establishing a time limit for negligence claims against the county be amended to comply with state law? That one's kind of a no-brainer when you think about it. Like I said, some of these are going to be housekeeping measures. On this one here, bottom line is the Charter Commission is trying to bring the county's charter into compliance with the state law as it relates to the time limitations on claims against the county. So I'm not going to bore you with all this language. If you want this, I can send it to you in your email. Just message me your email. Don't put it in the comments. Put it in my private message, and I'll shoot you this. I'll send you the PowerPoint, and you can read this exactly. And this is straight out of the Charter Review Commission, so that this is not anything that I wrote. But bottom line, it basically says that that you have a certain time, citizens have a certain time to file a claim against the county, and right now there's a little conflict between the charter and the state law. So this would bring the language in the charter into compliance with the state law. So if you're keeping track, taking notes on this matter here, as it relates to the claims, if you want us to be in compliance with the state law, then you vote yes. If you don't, if you want to keep it as is, then you vote no. Do not leave it blank. Okay. All right. The second one, police chief qualifications. Shall police chief qualifications be increased to require 15 years of law enforcement experience and a bachelor's degree? That is what will show up on the ballot. That is what will show up on the ballot. The material provided is, I'm going to read this. The Kauai Police Commission, after having gone through the process of hiring a new police chief, recommended more stringent requirements for future police chief candidates. The goal of this measure is to ensure that candidates for the county's top law enforcement post meet adequate minimum standards which match standards in other communities. Under this measure, a candidate would need a college degree in an appropriate field, 15-year work history, of which at least 10 years would be as of an officer in a full-service law enforcement agency, and 3 years as a lieutenant or higher. Leaving the language as is would retain minimal standards of 5 years of training, 3 of which were as an administrator. Again, very simple. If you believe that the qualifications for a police chief should be increased, then you vote yes. If you think it should be the same, then you vote no. if do not leave it blank. Now, this one will have a little bit of discussion because I think, for me, I'm not, I mean, it could go either way. At the end of the day, it's the commission that's going to make the decision of who gets hired as a police chief. The police commission is made up of private citizens, unpaid, and they're appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, and they hire and fire the police chief. So right now, as it stands, you don't need 10 years as an officer in a law enforcement office. You don't need a 15-year work history. My only concern with this is that you remove some discretion from the commission. You see, remember what I told you about the charter? It sets the foundation. It sets the requirements for the county, the structure. So hypothetically, you could have an officer, a brilliant guy that may have he graduated from college, got his 4-year degree in police science, criminal justice, went straight into the field, became a cop, rose through the ranks, awesome guy. And just the timing came up where he was, chief of police, a job opened up, but he would be excluded with this change because he doesn't have the 15-year work history because he went straight into work from college. And he didn't have 10 years in the department. He may have reached the rank of lieutenant or captain, what have you, but he would be excluded from applying. That is my only concern. If, as it stands now, the commission can pick who they feel is most qualified, and it's not based on years of service or years of work history. If you had a 9-year candidate and let's say you had a 20-year veteran from the mainland that worked in a 6-man police department, and he didn't have the cultural experience that they need for Kauai. But this 9.5-year veteran, college graduate, amazing cop, would not even be able to apply because of this new charter amendment, where now this guy from the mainland would. So, for me, again, it is completely up to you how you feel. I just, I think raising the standard that's not a bad thing, but you want to make sure you don't lose any potential qualified candidates by doing this. At the end of the day, like I said, the commission has a discretion to choose. You want the funnel big. You want as many candidates as you can, and then you make your determination based on experience and test scores and all of these things, accomplishments and community service, whatever, what have you. And then you weed out the ones that disappear. With this, you can weed out a bunch of them just because of that 15-year work history requirement and at least 10 years in a department. So, Charlie, what's your thoughts, bro?
Well,
And just so you guys know, me and Charlie did not have this discussion. We did not discuss this today at all. So don't get upset if me and Charlie disagrees and starts arguing.
Well, having served 2 terms on the Kauai Police Commission, and most of my terms have either been at a vice chair or chair position. The only thing that I see what this does, and I see why they put it in, is to bolster the recruitment. That when it comes to that front door, before the commission can do anything, it has to have that 15-year work history, no ifs, ands, or buts, along with the other stuff. Okay, that might be the thing that'd be questionable, because if you have a relatively young department, and say for instance the department is, just to let you know, Kauai, I guess under the structure of most departments throughout the United States, a department that has close to 200 members is considered a metropolitan police department. So when you have a relatively young department, okay, that means that it's less than 15 years, and there's some good candidates that might have the college degree, but they don't have the years of service that's required. They may get eliminated right off the bat, and they could be a person within a department that might have good attributes to take the department further ahead, but they will be eliminated just because of this. So, I hope people understand that. And really, it ties the commission's hands, because the commission won't be able to consider anything until they just meet these minimum qualifications.
Yeah.
And
And
that's the
let me
thing.
just make something really clear, because I don't want anybody thinking that, and our, one of our police commissioners, Mayor Hertog, is on.
Yeah.
General, thank you for being on. This is not a result of any kind of issues that they had with our current chief. This has absolutely
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. This is just something that the commission, because of the difficulties of hiring police chiefs, and this is not an issue that only Kauai suffers from. It's a national issue that departments are having a rough time, and it's even worse now with what's going on the mainland. Uh, so, and I would think now there are a lot of retired police chiefs from the mainland going to want to come to Hawaii with all the stuff that's going on. So
But
again,
you,
I think for me, it's keeping that funnel full with names and qualified people, and then let the commission do a very robust selection process where you, at the end of the day, you find out who is the best fit for this island, regardless of how many years they've worked in their life. I don't know if I don't even see why that should be have any bearing on this.
you know what it
This
could be under some of the newer standards, and Mary, I know she's on, Mary Hertog, who was with me on the commission as well. Uh, it could be that some of these standards are increased because of the CALIA, the accreditation that the department receives to be in conformance with the standards of the police accreditation. It may ask for these numbers in work history as well as in law enforcement. So I think that could be a reason why they're trying to comply with that as well. Because if they can't, and say they do select someone, and because it doesn't meet the requirements of CALIA, I mean, I don't know if they could lose their accreditation or not. But when a department is accredited nationwide, that's a really high standard. That's a really high bar they have to meet, and it's a plus. It's a plus for the department and for the people of Kauai to have a department that's accredited.
Yeah, and I don't think the accreditation was a factor. Mary did post. She said we thought long and hard about the qualifications. The 15 years were based on the time it takes to develop a chief coming up through the ranks. So I understand, and I would agree that that's probably in majority of the cases that is the case. But every so often you get this prodigy, this amazing young person that is just bright, brilliant, hardworking. I think my point was just that um, you want to consider as many people as you can, and then through that process, you pick the one that's you. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you may lose a potentially amazing chief of police that never made it to the application process because of this requirement. That's all I'm suggesting. So again, for me, I mean, either way, it's not, I'm not gonna tell you how to vote. I'm just saying, I'm trying to list the pros and the cons. Obviously the pros are you're going to get your list is going to be made up of more qualified in a sense of years of service, not necessarily an experience. Because you could have a 20-year veteran that never worked, left patrol. And it's common. You get patrol officers, patrol sergeants, patrol lieutenants that may have never left patrol. They just work patrol. They never worked special units, traffic, never worked in administration. Uh, so again, it's hard to put it on paper by requirements, because it all depends on that person's career path and what they were experienced. So anyway, um, we'll see how this one goes.
Yep.
There's for me, there's some pros, there's some cons, and we'll see which one it goes. So
Well, I wish I could comment about one thing, but I am not. But I will tell you that I was very fortunate in the overall application process and selection process of the Honolulu Police Department's police chief after the ousting of Police Chief Louis Kealoha. So that was something interesting, and I was the only outside commissioner from the outer islands that was selected to be on that selection committee. So it was an honor, but I saw certain things that's really unique in the process, even when you're going after a metropolitan to select a metropolitan police chief, because once the selection process was made, everything goes to the commission to make the final selection, right? You give them the name of the candidates, and I think this will do that. But again, you hit the nail on the head that you might have somebody with 20 years, the best all around, but maybe they just didn't attain the rank of lieutenant. They were sergeant. That person may miss the boat, right?
Yeah.
Because what they're saying here, you need a lieutenant or higher. But he was everything and some. He was the most dependent ranking officer in the field to lead the men and women of the department. But just because he doesn't obtain the lieutenant's rank or higher, he's eliminated. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, and I did when we hired Chief Freitas, I was a Shopo rep at the time. So back then they allowed a Shopo rep to sit on a selection process, and I will say, and this kind of goes to what Mary just posted about all the candidates that applied for the last run. All of our candidates all had experience in excess of what's on the screen right now, and every single one of them had a college degree. So again, I think there is some merit to this, and because when you are talking about running leading a department. Anyway, all right, moving on. The next one relating to ethics disclosure. Shall the list of county officials required to file ethics disclosures be expanded to include the managing director, agency and division heads, and regulatory employees? Certain county employees are required to file disclosures of their interests in business and local real estate. This change would include on the list the managing director, heads and deputies of county departments, agencies, and their division. It would also include regulatory employees such as building permit inspectors and liquor control investigators. Specific regulatory employee classifications would be defined later via administrative rule by the Board of Ethics. If this provision remains as is, such ethics disclosure requirements would be limited to elected officials, department heads and deputies, the purchasing administrator, and members of boards and commissions. So when you first, everybody that runs for office, and I know a lot of you guys don't know this, but everyone that runs for office has to file a disclosure. And you have to put everything on there, all your real estate, all your income that you make, all whatever ownerships you have in business, any of that, all that goes on to a disclosure. Everyone elected has to do one of those. All the department heads, deputies, all of those guys got to file these disclosure statements, and they have to keep it updated. Now the public has access to this. So if you want to know how much money someone is making through a side business, or you just got to call the ethics department and request a copy. It's public record. So this is while this sounds really cool, like, yeah, let's see how much all those guys make. We talk about hiring people. There's not too many people going to want to go work for the county as a building permit inspector or a liquor control investigator if you got to go expose all your financial disclosures to the public. We've had issues with this because all our commissioners got to do the same thing too. And they're not getting paid. They don't even get paid by the county. But many commission nominees, once they find out that they got to disclose their real estate, their income from businesses and jobs, they say, no, man, I'm a private guy. I'm a private guy. So, as much as I think it's important, I understand the reason, and I think the reason is they want to make sure nobody is if you're working on the side for a developer, a contractor, and you're working in a position that's going to be granting permits to that company, that's already spelled out. You cannot do that, and if you get caught, then you get prosecuted. So this will definitely reduce the number of employees that going to want to work for the county. It's a double-edged sword because I think while the reasoning is valid, I think the downside is going to be you're going to see a lot of people leave or not want to work in a position that you gotta bear your soul, your personal finances to the public. So this one is kind of it may be going too far. I think I'm perfectly fine if you're an elected official, the managing director, department heads. You know, I think those are not too far a stretch, but anybody appointed, appointed maybe. But once you get into the regular employees, civil service employees, that I think it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to be a problem. I don't know what your thoughts, Charles. I think right now the way it's set up is sufficient. And again, it's if you have employees that are uh, committing fraud or bribery, I mean, I think that's a separate issue. That's not an issue that you're going to resolve by filing a document at the beginning of the year. I think it's kind of it's almost kind of a invasion of your privacy when you go that far and you're doing a job. Remember, their employees are not all dirty. You get some guys working and working to pay their bills, and I don't know. This is one of those that I can tell you I'm going to vote no. I don't think we need to go that far. I really don't. And trust me, I'm one of the biggest skeptics of these types of things. But I think this one goes a little bit too far. Charles, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I don't know what the hell this says, but I'm with you.
I when you start going down into the building permit, I understand there's if there's an issue, you deal with the issue. You deal with the issue, and if the issue is we're having problems with employees that are doing shady things, then go deal with that. Go
Yep.
deal with that. Don't go put out this throw this net of invasion of privacy. This is crazy. And if you've never seen one of those forms, you know, it's horrible. You got to put and I think more information than the public needs to know. But I'm glad it's there. I never had a problem putting my penny ass revenue or income from wherever I work. I only have my house, so my little house. So it's not like I have anything to hide. But for
Yep.
some people, that's a big thing, and I just don't think we need to go that far.
Yep.
All right, next one. Next one. If you have any questions, just go ahead and pop them up. Pop them up. Shall the mayor, this is relating to the prosecutor vacancy, shall the mayor, with the approval of the county council, fill a vacancy of less than 18 months in the prosecuting attorney's position if a first deputy is unavailable to fill the position? That's what you're going to see on the ballot. And that's the frustrating thing, because if you don't go out and go research what this means, that's what you're going to see on the ballot. And a lot of people will see that. They'll say, damn, I don't know what they're talking about. And they're just going to pass them by. This is, again, a housekeeping measure. There is currently no provision for filling a vacancy in the prosecuting attorney's office if a vacancy is expected to last between 1 year and 18 months. Bottom line is, when they created in the charter, when the prosecuting attorney's section was created, it was an oversight, and they kind of left this period blank. This period between 1 year and 18 months. So if a vacancy is longer than 18 months, a special election would be held. That's what it says. Under current language, if a vacancy is less than a year, the first deputy would fill in as the prosecutor. But there is no guidance on what to do between 1 year and 18 months. So basically, all this does is say, from that 1 year to 18 months, this measure would allow the first deputy to fill in the position for that period. It's a housekeeping measure. Just this one here, I'm telling you, I vote yes, because it doesn't impact anything except it fills in that gap to allow the first deputy to stay on board between the time that we got to run a special election, and if it goes beyond the 18 months. So I know that probably doesn't make no sense. It's housekeeping, and it was an oversight when the language was first put in the charter. So this is going to fix it up. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? And our prosecuting attorney, Justin Kohler, has posted on his Facebook page asking for you to please support it. I encourage you to support it. I encourage you to vote yes, so we can clear up that oversight. That's basically what this is. And if you have any questions on any of these, just message me privately, and I'll reach out to you guys. Okay, this one here. Shall an individual who has extensive work and supervisory experience in an engineering or related field also be qualified to serve as the county engineer, head of the Department of Public Works? Now, this one I have some opinions on. The county engineer oversees the largest department in the county, the Department of Public Works. While this was once a position with extensive engineering requirements, it is now primarily a management and administrative assignment, and engineering is performed by trained and certified engineers within the department's divisions. Mayors for many years have had difficulty filling the position with registered engineers. This amendment recognizes the changing function of the position, and it would expand the pool of qualified applicants. Leaving the provision as is would continue to require a Hawaii registered engineer to hold the position. Okay, people. I cannot speak for this administration because I was on council for the last 2 or 3 administrations. And we had issues with filling the position because we never actively went out to find applicants. Again, I'm not speaking for this current administration. This one confuses me because just a little while ago, we talked about the police department creating, or the police commission creating, stricter requirements for a very important job. This one, we're going to reduce the requirements. In fact, we're taking away the requirement to be a registered civil engineer or a certified engineer. This was tried before. Why is it's beyond me. Now, the engineer, while I can understand what they're trying to say, while this was once a position with extensive engineering requirements, it is now primarily a management administrative assignment. People got to understand one thing. The engineer signs off on engineering documents. The engineer needs to have an engineering license. You cannot within public works, and trust me, I know this, there are many levels of management. There's supervisors, there's superintendents, there's division heads, there's all of these people that we've hired over the years to do the management. The county engineer needs to have an engineering, needs to be a registered engineer. This one blows me away because, number one, we've never really went out and tried, like the police commission and the fire commission, they hired professional headhunters to go out and find applicants for this position. We need to do the same for public works. They say that the pay is not enough. Nobody wants to come work for the county engineer because the pay is too low. Engineers coming out of college are making more money. That's not true. Some are. If you get into a firm that's, that's a big firm, that may be true, but I can honestly tell you, I've spoken to a lot of engineers over the last few years regarding this specific topic, and that's just not true. That's just not true. We have engineers coming out of college with some management experience. I think if given opportunity, they'll definitely apply. And we haven't really gone out and solicited. While I was on the council, I know they did, and they never went out and did a search, a professional search. That's what we need to do. If the pay is the factor, if the pay is the issue, then raise the pay. The salary commission can raise the pay. You see, nothing says that the county engineer cannot make more than the mayor. I'm not sure why we live by this belief that the mayor has to make more money than everybody. Listen, the mayor, the requirements for mayor on Kauai requires no specialty training, no degrees. You got to have voted in the last election. You got to be a certain age. You got to be popular. There's no requirement to have a law degree, an engineering degree. No. The mayor appoints the engineers and the lawyers and all of that. But when you're an engineer of the county engineer, uh, yes, you need to have an engineering, you need to be a certified registered engineer. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I cannot even believe this is on here. And again, this is my fear that people will go up there and they'll read this and they'll leave it blank, or they'll listen to the thing, oh, we'll open up the pool. This is such a 180-degree switch from the police charter amendment. This is what I don't understand about our charter review commission. On one end, you're saying, hey, for the police, we want to make it difficult to apply. We want to make it more strict. And then coming down here, and listen, the police it was never easy to hire a police chief. It was because our commission and the fire commission both went outside and spent money to go out and recruit people. And that's what Public Works needs to do if you want to get the best qualified guy for the job. Now, if pay is in fact, and I don't believe this is so, but if it is, then you go out and you pay the county engineer because of the requirements for the specialized degrees and certifications, and you pay them for it. You pay them. And if they make more than the mayor, they make more than the mayor. That's so be it. If you want the top quality guy, you got to pay them. But to remove the requirement of an engineer, that you need to be a registered engineer from the position of county engineer, to me is very counterproductive. You need an engineer in there. That's the way the charter is structured. Remember, I talked to you about this, and that's why now these kinds of changes cannot happen by 7 people on the council, because I have a feeling that if with enough pressure, you could get 4 votes to change this rule if it was allowed, or if you was able to do this at the county council level. But because of the importance of this, the reason why the founders or the people that wrote that charter put it in there, because they wanted the people to make the decision. They wanted the voters to make the decision, not 7 council members and a mayor. So I hope you can understand that the bottom line is they're saying that it's difficult to fill the position, so they wanna reduce the requirements. I was on a county council 12 years. I've served on all the committees. I've worked very closely with the county, with Public Works, with county engineers of years past. We haven't had a certified or a registered engineer in that position for a long time. We always had an acting one. And I can promise you that we had some issues. We have an acting engineer now that is a registered engineer. But apparently they want someone else, or whatever the case is. The bottom line is this: if you remove this requirement, I believe that you will lose that expertise in that department. And I believe that the Public Works Department should be led by well, the charter requires it, a county engineer, and the county engineer should have should be a registered engineer. Okay. And I don't know, Charlie, did you want to comment on that one, Charlie? You're muted. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Well, you kind of said it, and I always look at it from the legal standpoint. Removing that, what you just said, removing that title, you can always run into a problem where you should say something that might have to go to court. Yeah, it'll be very easy for the plaintiff's attorney to ask your degree. It's going to come out, and it doesn't look good if it's something like, say, maybe a lawsuit against the county, and they're going to have the county engineer subpoena to testify, and they're going to go through all of his credentials, right? And that's missing. So that's just my thought. That's
That's a good comment. I mean, I think that kind of, I don't know. I guess I've been so used to having a county engineer, and that all of the when you get engineering plans, when you get engineering documents,
yeah,
somebody with work experience cannot sign. You need to be a registered an engineer registered with the state of Hawaii. So Anyway, And then the last one is the Board of Water, same thing. Shall an individual who has extensive work and supervisory experience in an engineering or related field also be qualified to serve as manager and chief engineer of the Department of Water? Same thing, different department. This is the water department. The last one was for the public works. I don't know. This is the same thing. Uh, the provision would recognize that a qualified manager with engineering experience could meet the requirements of the position as well as would a Hawaii registered engineer. In other words, they're saying you could take somebody without that's not registered as an engineer and he can do the same job. That's not the intent of the charter. People remember, I consider the charter sacred. That's just with my experience. This is not something that you just flip and flop because there's someone you want to hire that doesn't have a engineering degree. I mean, that not registered engineer. No, that's not how this works. That charter is sacred. That charter was there for the intent to provide the structure of our county. And again, the Board of Water Supply has had difficulty filling this position. They have not tried hard enough, or they have not did the study on the salary. Uh, Again, there's nothing in that I know of that prohibits a engineer, and I think we can all agree that engineers should get paid more than the mayor if they're required to maintain all of these heavy credentials. There's many jobs in the state that get paid more than the governor because of the requirements, the medical requirements or legal requirements, and one could say the same thing of the prosecuting attorney's office. That the requirements to be a prosecutor, being that you got to be a lawyer, you have all these certifications, you got to stay up to date, and your decisions affect future. I don't have an issue with doing a pay study to make sure that they're compensated properly and that we can get the best qualified person for the job. That's what we need right now. We need that right now, and especially now. So yeah, Public Works, Department of Water. I mean, I would not support that. I think it's dangerous. It's dangerous territory to go down. Again, the integrity of the charter is important to me. The police one is making it stricter. It's actually making it more refined. This one is making it less strict. And while you may open it up to people, to more candidates, you look at the intent of the charter. The intent was to have that position be held by someone that was a registered certified engineer. That to me needs to be upheld. So in my opinion, I would vote no. I would vote no for the last two items. That's just my personal opinion. You guys do what you want. You want to contact the county, go ahead, ask them. I'm just telling you that until they do a professional search with a professional headhunting firm and they exhaust all means and they are unsuccessful in getting the pay increase to a level where we can attract good qualified registered engineers, this is not the direction they should be going. Charles?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, man. It doesn't take much. I've always been one. It was just like when I was in a police department. Had to testify, boy, and on a case, and I got my certification to IPTM, which allowed me to testify as a traffic reconstructionist. But because I didn't have that college degree, boy, it made it really tough on the stand. Made it really tough. But thank God that I passed the learning curve with the schools that the department sent me to. And I thank God I had that. So that helped. But, for something like this, I agree with you. It's hard to support it if they're going to just make it wide open where anybody can be selected for it without having the needed degree, because it's important.
Yeah.
It's like a lifeguard. Why would you want to be a lifeguard and you don't know how to swim? Makes sense, right? I mean, maybe you'd be good at looking at things out in the ocean, but I don't think you'd be qualified to go jump in the water and go save somebody, right? If you don't know how to swim. Number one, a lifeguard. In order to be a lifeguard, you gotta be proficient in swimming. You gotta pass that test. So same thing.
Yeah, I guess, if I was to, if people are wondering, well, it's not a really big deal. I think if you understand the job of the engineer, I know Sherry just asked, well, who was signing off on all these forms or all these plans? What's been happening now? We have a certified engineer that's in the acting capacity, but prior to that, they would have to go find engineers in the department to go sign off. And I heard it from our former acting uh, engineer who wasn't an engineer, say that that was not a problem. They could always find someone. That's not how the machine's supposed to work. No, that's your job, and if you're not qualified, then you need to go get another job. That's just how it works. I mean, let's not make this more complicated. It is what it is. You go get the engineer and pay the engineer and get it done. But imagine if this, let's just say the discussion tonight was about, let's just say, the prosecuting attorney's office. See how opposite this is from the police one. Let's just say the police one. Let's just say, the police chief. How often do you see a police chief running beat, going out, and taking cases, making arrests? No, he's managing the department. I'm making an argument for the police chief not to have to be a police officer. Okay, because that's what this is. And if you can, and this is a direct analogy. So I'm here saying, no, no, because you see, before, back in the day when the departments were small and the chief had to actually go drive around and write tickets, well, that don't happen no more. The chief actually is a manager. He directs policy. He takes care of the personnel. So we don't really need a police officer to be the chief of police. As long as they get work experience, as long as they're familiar with management, yeah, let's remove the requirement from the chief of police from being a police officer. Maybe then you can understand how crazy I think this one is, because it's the same thing. A police chief runs a police department. The county engineer runs engineering, the public works department. And to think that you could do that without an engineer, I think it's the same as saying you could run a police department without being a police officer. So that's kind of how I look at it. And trust me, this is entirely up to you. You do it what you believe is right. If you think that that is not a requirement, then you vote yes. If you think that the county engineer and the water department manager should be engineers, as stated in the charter currently, then you vote no. Please do not leave your ballots blank. Okay, please do not leave your ballots blank.
And if you still confused when you have that, then you just mark maybe. See if your ballot maybe in there.
If you guys have any questions on the specifics, you can message me, or you can call the Charter Review Commission, or you could call someone in the county. I can tell you the county will more than likely encourage you, and that's fine. We'll live with whatever the results are. But the important thing in this part of the election, or this part of the process with the charter, is that it'll be the voters that decide, not politicians. Okay. So anyway.
And I'm always available. I may not respond right away, but I'll be available. So
yeah, the charter should be left for not policy decisions, not policy issues. It's structural issues, and the structure of that charter, the sacredness of that charter, needs to be retained. Housekeeping measures, obviously, we got to fix, and that's what we did with a few of them. But anyway, so if you guys have any questions, please just message me, and we'll connect, and I can try give you what I remember. I lived that for 12 years. I was on a council. I was a chair for 4. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that because I've lived that experience. I've been there. I've worked with those guys, and trust me, we definitely need a registered engineer. Trust me, we are in a lot of issues today because we didn't have one. So But that's just my opinion, Charles.
Some people thanking me for just adding more confusion. You're welcome. I sorry. You
But
know,
Charlie, you make me confused now. I sit thinking, I hope I don't put maybe on my ballot.
I sorry. But a lot of times if you look down the road, if things are not done right way before, now it's gonna catch up. So if you have a department where you're supposed to have someone who should be licensed, it just might down the road just create a bigger problem. So you want to do your part. And the ballot is not going to have maybe. I was just joking. If I confuse Mel, that means I confuse many of you out there. Okay, so don't look for maybe.
Yeah.
Don't look for it. It doesn't exist.
Oh God. Whew. Well, what a good night. What a good night. I hope that was of some value. If I confused you, I apologize. I just felt it was important that we know what we're voting. I can tell you every year, every election, I always check the blank votes on the charter amendments, and there's so many.
Yeah.
Um,
And folks, you're not going to get penalized. I think a lot of people, they worry if they answer wrong, like you might have your driver's license taken away or something like that. No, nothing like that going to happen. It's just if you answer wrong and things go through shit, then it's just the end of the world. Don't worry about it.
we will all get through this together, man. I
Yep.
tell you, we'll all get this all through. I more and more, Charlie, I thinking about that post-COVID party that you control for us.
Yep.
That big party that you control for us.
Yep.
I thinking about that several times a day now. Like I'm just visualizing what that could be like. Like, you know, probably at the stadium. You know, I mean, a lot of people, a lot
Yep.
of food, entertainment, people from all over the state, maybe from Korea and
Yeah.
Texas and all over. I mean,
Just gonna have one big party. We're gonna have one big party. The only problem might be why I might not be able to pull it off because I'm not a licensed event planner.
I know one that can do it all for you, Charlie, and probably not even charge you anything. But I was thinking about the buffet line. I mean, oh, gonna be awesome, awesome, awesome.
You ever went to a buffet line where they had maybe 45 different ways of how roast pork was cooked? And when you reach to the end of the line, you ask the guy, "Hey, where the rice?" He goes, "No, only pork tonight."
Oh boy. And don't forget the Snickers. Don't forget the Snickers, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should have not mentioned Snickers.
yeah.
Anyway, Charles. Oh my God, it's 8 o'clock, man. Well, any closing thoughts there, bro? Any closing thoughts?
No, brother, I want to thank you. Through the years, and I think why it's so important. You don't get charter amendment or changes to the charter or proposed changes to the charter. It doesn't come every election year. Some years you get one. Some years you might get choke. But people just. I'm so thankful that Mel, because of where he was as a council member, his service to the community in an elected position. I'm so grateful that he was able, because when he called me today, he says, "Oh, Charlie, what we're gonna do, it's okay. We'll talk about the charter tonight." I go, "Okay." And I thinking to myself, "Oh crap, I know zero." I said, "Oh, zero. I don't know nothing about the charter, other than the charter boats for go fishing. That's about it." So I said, "Bro," and I'm over there. Remember, I was encouraging you, right on, right on. You got him because you got him. I wasn't gonna say nothing tonight. I only talked about one thing, police commission. Other than that, You did a damn good job. And I see from the comments, people are very, very appreciative. I wish every county had a show like this with people that was dedicated to help the citizens of their respective county to weave through the mess. I don't, well, I shouldn't say mess, but to weave through some of these things that, they might not be familiar with. So, I know there's some people from Honolulu that's watching, you know, just read the questions, but I know it's confusing. It's like, it's when they put it on the ballot, it's like you're gonna get one guy when you're ready for drop your ballot off. Somebody gonna be right there, and you're gonna have to ask the person, "Hey, bro, you trying to trick us again?" Because a lot of it seems tricky if you think about it. It seems very, very tricky. It says yes, but then you're actually voting no, and no is actually meaning yes. And right then and there, you just like break down and cry. So I just want to thank you, Mel. You did a damn good job, brother.
Well, thanks. This is the bottom line. At the end of the day, you got to vote. You got to vote. And I know I shared some of my opinions and how I'm going to vote. You vote how you feel you need to vote, but it's important to vote. Do not leave those questions blank. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. And whatever happens, happens. We'll live with whatever the outcome is. But I just wanted to share my personal experiences and my personal involvement with the process over the last 12 or 14 years, whatever it was. And but more importantly than how you vote is making sure that you vote. Um, make sure you vote, and I'm talking about all the races as well. Just vote. The old saying, "No grumble if you don't vote."
Yep. Yep.
That's so true. That's so true. And I will tell you guys something, and I'll end with this: is as candidates, as when you run for office, when the after the primary election is done, we get to go look at the poll books to see who voted and who didn't vote. Unfortunately, we cannot see how you voted, but we can see who voted. So all of the poll books are spread out for our campaign, and we get to look through each one to see who voted. And it's a strategy that we use to target people that didn't vote. But I will tell you that it is shocking how many people don't vote. And it is even more shocking to find out that the people that didn't vote used to come up and tell me all the time, brother, I'd vote only for you, brother. And sincerely, I of course I wanted people to vote for me, but I thought it was more important that people voted, period. Whether it was for me or not, everybody needs to vote because it's that important. So I know a lot of people don't vote, and a lot of those names where the signature, when you go do your ballot, you sign in, was blank, and a lot of those guys were the ones that complained the most. And it's frustrating because I will never call one guy out for that. I will never. A guy would call up the office and start chewing my ass about something that I did, and I remember that person never vote. I never gonna call the guy out and say, bro, you never vote, so shut up. Because no, you're still a constituent. But my point is, we all gotta vote. Every single one of us gotta vote.
You know,
Who and what you vote for that's your deal. But please, please, please vote.
you know why I think this year gonna be different and why I feel it? Just by the amount of people that got involved with COVID. And any other time, everybody would be pretty much butter lip, right? Your lip would be tight, no say nothing. But this go around, we have made so many friends, and they have expressed many views, not only one way, but many views, pros and cons. And even though they didn't agree with us, I still appreciate because they said something. So that tells me that people in this day and age are getting actively involved. So I really believe they're going to vote and they're going to fill up all those blocks because they're very, very, they made their voices heard, and that's good. Okay, that's good. And I wholeheartedly, one person asked, with all this confusion on these charter amendment, who wrote it? Well, the answer is it wasn't me. I know it's confusing, and if Uncle Charlie wrote it, yeah, it'd be confusing. Because the first thing I do is for every charter amendment, question that I put on the ballot, I would give you guys a year supply of Snickers. Yeah, that'll be my approach. But no, it's confusing, and I can't say if it's for a reason or not. It's just that those kind of minds, that's how they think. Okay, it's just like attorneys. I love attorneys, but they get everything so convoluted that you don't know whether you come in or going. And I don't know if it's like that for a reason. So you end up thinking you won your case, but you actually lost, and you're wondering, why nobody telling you goodbye. It's because the sheriff is ready to put you in handcuffs and take you away to serve your sentence. So I don't know. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, I'm very glad everyone is making an effort. That's a good part about
You guys need to continue your show even when hopefully COVID isn't the issue. Oh, Sherry, that's so sweet.
it. Yeah, we'll find another code to talk about.
Oh, you know, we were supposed to be Paul COVID already.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be Paul COVID, and this damn
You know
thing
why
is
we're
like
doing this, brother? You know why we're doing this? And some of you out there don't know why we're doing this. I will tell you why. One night, I said this the other night. One night, Mel and I forgot to tell everybody we're gonna be off. Just one night. We got stretched up the yin yang. Where the hell you guys want? I told Mel. I go, bro, I don't ever like go through this again. Just be honest with them. If we got them and we tired, that's right. Everybody know we're gonna be off Sunday. But let's
yeah.
just do it because I don't like get threatened anymore.
Dr. Octo still has not. I mean, my bad. I gotta follow up, but we will. We'll check it out on next week, Angie. I saw your question. This thing scrolls so fast that I miss comments. I apologize. I try my best. I promise you. But yeah, we trying to get him back on. We really are.
Ken Cavallo just put up here that that his company Fun and Quasi, they
Oh
will
yeah, the rides, the
they will
rides.
supply the rides for the COVID party. The one I like do. I did them. The one the kids they go on the bungee, they put the thing around you and you jump up and
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
I did that at Waimea, the town celebration. So fun. By the time I got off, I had on wedgie. They took a tow truck company had to help me for pulling back out. When they put the thing around you, you jumping up and down. Every jump means because you jump, your legs spread out wide, right? So for every jump, the bugger going up 2 inches.
Uh, I did ride that ride recently. I trying to think where it was, and I went into the one that you spin. You know the one that you spin the thing and the teacup or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I rode it with somebody's kid, and oh man, it was fun. It was a lot. I think you and me, Charlie, we'll go do one of those the next at that party.
No, even the balloon one. When you go inside the castle
Oh
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
go skiing. I remember going in there and I was playing on. I jumped and had a small kid in the corner. I went jump. The kid would pass the ceiling and back down. I go, oh, sorry.
Uh, all right. Well, Charles, it's been a
But
pleasure, man.
Angie, don't make fun. Angie saying, what? They had one harness that big.
I can only imagine what's going through these people's heads. We actually are serious people, We every so often we kind of go off, but it's a
Yeah.
Saturday. It's the heat. It was hot today. Um, LSU got upset today. That was incredible. That was incredible. But anyway,
You know,
tomorrow night we take a night off. How was that, Charlie?
my wife Stephanie. Why she popped my bubble for? You saw what she wrote.
He couldn't get on any ride. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
terrible. You know,
yeah.
I would take her, put her in a car,
Yeah.
and go take her down, go buy ice cream.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to tell you folks this. You take your loved one, go buy ice cream. The purpose is you go buy ice cream, you eat them there. You don't buy ice cream and drive 20 miles back home thinking the ice cream's still going to be hot. It don't work that way. You're gonna end up with a milkshake. Okay, so when you take your loved one by ice cream, eat them right there. Okay.
All right, Charles. Tomorrow night we take a break. Monday night we'll be back 7 o'clock. I have no idea who we're gonna get Monday night yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll get somebody. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting.
Yep.
And you guys stay safe tomorrow, guys. Okay,
Love you
it's
guys.
Sunday. Relax and
Take care of
pray
my
for
brother.
everybody. Pray for everybody with that's having some rough times right now. Okay, God bless you guys. Love you guys.
Yep.
Aloha.